What's up guys, it's Timmy, and in this video I want to share with you my story of mountain biking, my experience, because I feel like a whole bunch of you guys can relate to this, like a whole bunch of you guys. This is a pretty common story, and I haven't really seen a video on it yet, so let's get into it. So first off, probably most of you guys have owned a bike in your life. It's just basically your childhood transportation. It's how you get around, it's how you see your friends, it's how you get places when you're a kid growing up. So I think a lot of people can relate to that just to begin with. And of course I had that similar experience of using my bike to get around and using it to mess around in parking lots and go off jumps and all that kind of stuff. Let's slip by you guys really quick. Sorry, I don't want to scare you guys.
See any other bikers coming down?
I think you guys are good for a little bit. I first got into mountain biking when I was 13 years old and just started to really enjoy riding trails and going off jumps and all that kind of stuff.
Oh. Oh.
Good save.
Oh, can I do that again?
Oh yeah. And when I was 14, I moved up to the North Georgia mountains, which is one of the most epic places to bike in the southeastern US. And one of my first jobs was working for a local bike shop, the Carissa Bike Shop in LJ, Georgia. And it was an awesome job, had really awesome boss, Mike Pummery. And he just showed me the basics of how to work on bikes and do sales. And I just became obsessed with it. That was my thing for a while. I had my job working for the bike shop for a couple years, and eventually I was old enough to get my driver's license, and that started changing everything because I really was obsessed with whitewater kayaking also at the time. And I slowly transitioned out of mountain biking into whitewater kayaking as soon as I could drive a car, because I could get around real easy and I wasn't forced to be on a bike. So flash forward 25 years and I'm in Moab, Utah, and I rented a full suspension mountain bike for a day, and they honestly had just came out with full suspension, front and rear suspension, when I was working at the bike shop. So bikes have changed a ton, and I did one of the most infamous trails in the world. I jumped on the whole enchilada trail, and I was on this rental bike and just had the time of my life. I was just absolutely blown away with how fast you could plow through stuff, going over 2-foot tall boulders, and just blasting along and just having a great time. Had a smile from ear to ear in my face, and I kind of fell back in love with biking after that trip. And that one experience renting that bike on the whole enchilada trail just pushed me right back into the world of mountain biking, and I began to get a little bit obsessed and research again. First off, I want to let you guys know that this video is not sponsored. I bought this stuff with my own money, and I invested in this stuff because it's going to last me a long time, and it's just awesome quality stuff. When I got back to Alaska after the Moab trip, I started researching bikes like crazy. I wanted to find just the one bike, the one quiver killer, where I could just own one bike and do everything I wanted to. I wanted a bike that I really loved and that would just get me back into the sport and get me passionate about it again. When I was down in Moab, Utah, the bike I rented was an Ibis ripmo. And once again, I worked in a bike shop growing up, so I remember all these bike names, brand names, and the ones that were quality. And Ibis was making bikes back then, like 20, 25 years ago. I want to say it's 1981 they started making bikes, but I knew they were a reputable company, and I really, really enjoyed that bike in Moab. And I started doing a bunch of research. I went into different bike shops in town and just tried out a bunch of different bikes, different brand names, and nothing compared to that Ibis Ritmo. I just really enjoyed that bike. And my biggest priority was getting one bike that I was excited about. I didn't want a whole bunch of different bikes for different things. I wanted one bike that could do everything that I wanted to do, which is like downhill and cross-country riding and just going for a beer down the street at the pub, just one bike to do everything. And I decided to go with the Ibis Ritmo carbon bike because it's pretty light and pedals really awesome up hills. You can't feel the bike bobbing a whole bunch like you think a full suspension bike would. And it was super impressive in the downhills and just ate everything up, and it just felt good, really snappy and responsive and poppy, and I just really enjoyed it. So that's why I wanted to stick with the Ibis. There's a ton of different places you can buy bikes, obviously, but I chose N+1 Bikes down in Kentucky because they have pretty good deals on bikes, and they just do a good job packing and shipping and getting everything to you, and they assemble it beforehand, so that was nice. So the bike that I rented in Moab was actually an aluminum bike. It's an aluminum framed Ibis Ritmo. And when I demoed the aluminum frame Ibis Ritmo, I noticed it was a little bit heavy for my liking for doing cross-country riding, which I knew I'd be doing probably 80% of the time in Alaska. So I knew I wanted to get the carbon frame version and shave off a couple of pounds. When I pulled the bike out of the box, I was very pleasantly surprised. The full suspension carbon bike was actually lighter than my hardtail aluminum frame bike, which is pretty sweet. At the time, I couldn't quite afford carbon wheels, but since I have a carbon frame, I wanted to get carbon wheels just to shave even more weight off of the bike and just make it even more responsive. After doing a whole bunch of research on wheels, I decided to email a company called Spokex. And from what I could tell, they made a really high quality product and they were still trying to get their name out there. And I just shot them an email because it just seemed like a really high quality product. I just really liked the vibe of the company and it seemed like a lot of good folks worked there. And what's hilarious is when I got a response in the email, it was from a guy named Hunter, who was the owner of Spokex. And just a few months prior, I was in Colorado doing some mountain biking in Boulder, and this guy walks up to my truck camper here, truck cabin, and asks if I have a bike pump, and lo and behold, it was Hunter the whole time. So just funny how small the world is. Anyway, the boys over there laced me up a super awesome pair of Spokex carbon wheels. So when the Spokex wheels came in, I was obviously super excited, changed out the tires, and I went ahead and threw the carbon wheels on, and I was surprised. Like, it actually shaved a good bit of weight off the bike. And now this bike is significantly lighter than my hardtail because of the carbon frame and the carbon wheels, and it feels awesome. And I've got to say, I've just been stoked on biking again, and it's been super fun getting back into it.
Are you taking pictures?
Just YouTube stuff.
Oh, you do YouTube?
Yeah, man.
What's your YouTube channel?
It's Truck House Live. Go look it up. You might be on film later. Go look at it. If you're gonna get back into it, it's worth investing in it and just getting something that you know you're gonna enjoy and something that just feels good to you and it's gonna make you feel good on the trail. I think a whole bunch of you guys can relate to my story because you probably did the same thing. You probably grew up biking and got a car and started driving, didn't need your bike anymore, and maybe just kind of stopped for a long time and just kind of rediscovered mountain biking, or you're thinking about rediscovering it. If you're going that direction, I would highly recommend checking out an Ibis ripmo. Whatever bike you get, you should definitely check out Spokex wheels. The rotational mass that it shaves off, you notice it. Like, the bike just gets up and goes faster. So that's the first thing I noticed when I actually started pedaling the bike. Anyhow, if you guys are thinking about getting into mountain biking or getting back into it, make sure to do a bunch of research and try to pick out just one bike that will do everything for you, and you'll save money that way, and you'll be able to invest more into that one bike instead of buying multiple bikes. And I think you'll be happier in the long run with that. Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to go check out M+1 Bikes online to see what they have. They have a bunch of different bike name brands and awesome company to deal with, and they get your bike to you quick. Also, make sure to check out Spokex. Hunter and the crew are awesome. They'll build you a sweet set of wheels, and it'll just get you stoked to go riding. That's a wrap, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I know this is kind of a different video for the channel, but hope it got you excited to get back into the two-wheel world. So we'll see you guys in the next video, and if you like the video, like button's down there, and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more of this stuff. See you on the next one. If you'd like to stick around, I'm going to show a little bit of mountain bike footage from Alaska, so enjoy. This is the first time I've ridden since rolled my ankle, so I try to be a little bit easy. I'm gonna warm it up on this trail right here. Bernie Sanders, pretty sweet. Once again, it's like my first time mountain biking again in like 20 years, I don't know. So if you guys are just tuning into the channel, I broke my back and neck about 3 years ago, and it's kind of a long recovery process, so I haven't been able to ski ever since, but been able to snowboard, so I switched that up.
This is my first time getting back into mountain biking in 25 years, basically. So this is my first bike I bought in 25 years, and man, they've changed so much. And I think the biggest noticeable change is number one, dual suspension. That wasn't even a thing. It just came out when I was into mountain biking. And number two is the bike geometry. It's just laid out so much better. Kind of a longer profile, longer length, and just feels way more stable going down steep stuff and even climbing. And this is also my first dual suspension mountain bike. I did have a Salsa Timberjack hardtail for a while, and just owned nothing but hardtails before that. Honestly, this Ibis Ripmo, the carbon, with these Spokex wheels are like, this is a lighter setup than my hardtail was, so it's kind of nuts. But I feel like it pedals just as efficient. Barely noticed the pedal bob at all. And it just feels light. It doesn't feel like too much bike or overbiked. Even with the cross country stuff, it still feels good. One sketchy part about Alaska is the bears, moose in the trail, come flying around a corner and then they'll be right there in your face. Speak of the devil, there's some moose hair right there. So definitely moose on the trail somewhere.
All right, guys, about 3.5 to 4 hours later, she is complete. Got it all wrapped up. There was about 36 stickers that I had to put in different places. So a lot of stickers. Here is the final product, all wrapped up. Doesn't look too bad. I could have done worse.
Love that house.
Well, thank you. We'll see. Looks like they got some pretty large jumps, such as that. So we'll go up here and see what happens. Pretty stoked.